expect people to know what that means. He literally explains those terms that he's using. So the simplest way that I could break down this rule for engaging your clients and potential clients online is to use simplified language. Use simple language that any 5th to 7th grade reader ought to know, and any terms or terminology that you use, you should explain in a manner that a 5th to 7th grader could then understand that content, okay? Now, if you're writing content for other members, or let's say you're writing content for really savvy investors, do you think this rule is going to apply, Don?
No.
Absolutely not, right? So consider your audience. If I'm writing for the super savvy investor, he knows what LTV is. He knows what PMI is. If I'm writing for other members on the network, they understand the terminology. That's why they're on the network. They're professionals, and they understand that terminology. For all others, though, I'm probably going to need to dumb it down a little bit. All right. So thanks for helping me out with the feedback on that one there, Don. Looks like we have some questions here. Deleted my spam already. Can you please resend? Yeah, just send that email off to me again, Sarah. Just say, hey, Stephen, I need those notes and tools again. I'll send it out. Remember, the notes and tools for today are the same as yesterday. So if you already got yesterday's notes and tools, you won't need any for today. I get a message saying the access code is invalid. If you get a message that says the access code is invalid, keep retrying to enter that, Victor. It means there's a small cross in your line. You'll try 3 times, and then we'll hang up on you, and then you'll keep trying again. There's an annoying noise in the background. Perhaps people should have their phones on mute. Yeah, if you know what, if I don't pick on you for feedback, try to keep your phone on mute. If nothing else, keep that background noise to a minimum. And I think what people are hearing is somebody has me on speakerphone, and it's actually picking up the sound off the speaker and running it through the mic. So if you take me off of speakerphone, that should fix this little background noise that people are talking about. All right, so let's move on to my next victim here. Olga, you mind if I pick on you a little bit? Are you with me, Olga? Olga Cortez. There she is. So, Olga, I'm going to pick on you for this section. When's the last time you went fragrance shopping?
Fragrance shopping, maybe 4 months ago.
4 months ago. Okay, so it wasn't too long ago. Now, I don't know if you have the same routine when you go fragrance shopping as I do, but I always spray it on the little card. Do you use the cards?
I sure do.
Awesome. So you spray it on the card, you flap the card around, you smell your fragrance, throw the card in the garbage can, and then what's the next thing you do before you test that next fragrance?
Probably rub it on me.
Well, most of us will sniff a coffee bean, right?
Right.
That's why they got them up on the counter, and we do that to clear our palate, right?
Right.
And the whole idea is if we don't do that, have you ever gone fragrance shopping without doing that?
No.
Yeah, because they all start to smell the same, right?
Yes, and you end up with an upset stomach, too.
Yeah, exactly. So this is the point here, folks. You're building content for your readers to digest, all right? We need to give them a chance to digest one thought or idea before we move on to the next one. So what we need is we need a chance for them to basically do the same as we do when we go fragrance shopping or wine tasting. We need to give them a chance to clear that palate. So that what you use to clear the palate, if you notice, Chuck Binzel has white space in his post. So it's the amount of white space in this post that's breaking up each thought or idea. He's breaking those thoughts or ideas into very digestible sized pieces. Notice that none of his lines are more than, let's say, 5 to 6 lines in length. Now, some of these are being maybe squished a little bit by a photo, might look a little thicker, but if they were all the way long, they would be no longer or no wider than 5 or 6 lines. And he's got a fair amount of white space between each thought or idea that he's broken down into a paragraph. And that's basically to give his readers a chance to maybe take a 3-second pause, relax their eyes, digest what he's talking about, and then move on to the next thought or idea, okay? So it's very important, just like in wine tasting or fragrance shopping, that we give our readers a chance to digest one thought or idea before moving on to the next, and we give them that chance by using white space. And notice sometimes he's using his photos to actually create a little bit of that white space, right? So we've learned to dumb down our language if it's meant for a general consumer. We've learned to use white spacing in our content. The other thing that we need to understand here, and let me find someone else I can pick on. Let's see here. Paula Smith, I'm going to take you off of mute right now. Let me see if anybody else is dialed in that needs to be taken off of mute. Well, better late than never. That's what I say, Paula. How you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you.
Awesome. Now, Paula, you might be the right person to pick on for this one. You might not. Let me ask you, Paula, do you, when you were a kid, did you have a favorite sugary breakfast cereal?
Let's say Lucky Charms.
Lucky Charms, awesome. So if you remember, when we were little kids, we used to watch Sunday morning cartoons or Saturday morning cartoons, and it was always really early in the morning. Mom and Dad were probably usually still asleep, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, our cartoon would end or it would be commercial break, and up would pop that commercial for the Lucky Charms. If you remember, the little leprechaun would be running around. The kids would be chasing him. He'd hop into that little hot air balloon or whatever. And then, of course, it would, the commercial would end, and it would say, kids, for a limited time in specially marked boxes of Lucky Charms, you'll get red balloons. Do you remember that commercial at all from when you were a kid?
Oh, sure.
Or sometimes it would say, hey, kids, to help Lucky escape the children, in specially marked boxes of Lucky Charms, you'll find this little compass or, whatever. It's usually a 3-cent, cost them maybe 3 cents to manufacture in China, a little toy that's going to break in 30 seconds, right?
Right.
But it's always for a limited time. It's always in specially marked boxes, so ask your parents to rush out and buy you Lucky Charms, right? We've all heard or seen this commercial, correct?
Sure.
Now, if you were a kid and you saw this commercial, do you remember what you did?
Mommy, I want Lucky Charms.
Yeah, it was almost like clockwork, right? And we might already have a box of Lucky Charms open on top of the counter, but we don't want that box. We want the box with the toy in it. So even if Mom and Dad point out we already have Lucky Charms, that's not good enough because it's not the right box of Lucky Charms, right? So if we're lucky and they do finally get us that box of Lucky Charms, and if you've ever had siblings, you know this is true, instantly a fight breaks out over who's going to open that box. Even though there's already an open box, we're going to open the new box. We're going to fight over it. The winner, the lucky champion, gets to dig their arm all the way down to the bottom of the box, pull out that little toy, and then you fight over the toy, and that's how it ends up broken by the end of the day. And this would happen every time like clockwork, right? Anyone who didn't experience this as a child probably had a deprived childhood. But the point is this. Lucky was a genius. He got us to fervently pursue his product. So I'm going to teach you how to use the same tricks that Lucky is applied to you when you were a child and is probably still applying to your children to this day, to actually get them to wake you up at 5 a.m. and beg you to go to the grocery store to buy his product. So the first thing that Lucky did is he told the kids why they want to buy that specially marked box of Lucky Charms, right? He gave them an incentive. He gave them something of value, right? And then he warned the kids, hey, kids, it's only while supplies last. So he put a rush into the kids, right? Like, oh, my goodness, they're going to run out of 3-cent toys from China, right? So he built a sense of urgency. And then, of course, he told you exactly what you need to do to get that thing of value, which is ask your parents to buy that specially marked box. So it's give them value or incentive. Of course, you want to make sure that they understand that there's a sense of urgency here, and you want to tell them exactly what they need to do to get that item of value, all right? And this is how you get people to do what you want them to do. What's in it for me, and why do I need to do it right now, right? So let's take a look at this, and let's see if Chuck Binzel has applied what I like to call today the Lucky Charms method of getting readers to do what he wants them to do. So let's take a look at his, remember, it's always at the end of the commercial, so you always put this at the end of your posts. Hometown Mortgage is one of the Southeast's largest non-institutional lenders, and the USDA loan program is very popular. If you or your client is looking for zero-down home loans in Birmingham, Alabama, we're currently still accepting applications for the USDA loan, but it's unclear how much longer the funds will last. We're informing our clients that these funds may not be available in the very near future, and to best serve them, we're qualifying them on backup programs such as the AHFA, Alabama Housing Finance Authority Step-Up Program. Give me a call today, and let's see what your options are. So the first thing we have to ask is, what's in it for us? Can anybody see what's in it for us? Anybody? What's the thing of value? What's the 3-cent toy here? How about they're going to qualify me for backup programs? Do you think that's a clear value?
Yeah.
Right? They'll get me access to funds for a zero-down loan, and if that weren't good enough, they'll qualify me for backup programs. There's your 3-cent toy, right? Did he build a sense of urgency?
Yeah, it may run out.
Yeah, funds may not be here forever. As a matter of fact, he does it twice, right? He says, hey, this is a very popular lending program, and by the way, funds aren't going to be around for very long, right? This is why we're advising our clients to qualify for backup programs, right? So absolutely he's developing that sense of urgency. And is he telling them what that next step should be?
Call me, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're wondering why Chuck Binzel's post is generating so many leads, but maybe a couple of your posts aren't, you need to ask yourself, am I telling my readers what I want them to do next? Am I giving them something of value to pursue that? And am I building a sense of urgency? Am I limiting the time on that offer? Am I letting them know that the timer is ticking and they're going to run out of time? Now, if you do this, typically you're going to have a much, much stronger chance of getting your readers to pursue that call to action. And, of course, the last thing that I'm going to leave you folks with is this. We've all heard the saying, a picture says 1,000 words, right? A post without picture says nothing, and I'll tell you why. Because no one's going to read it, okay? You'll almost never see posts with tons of comments on them that's just text, right? If you don't believe me that pictures are very, very important to grabbing your reader's attention, what I want you to do is I want you to go to the supermarket checkout line, and the next time you're at the supermarket checkout line, I want you to notice where other people's eyes in the line are fixed. And I guarantee you they're going to be looking at one of two things. They're either going to be looking at the glossy pictures on the cover of the magazines in the rack to the left of them, or they're going to be looking at the shiny, colorful candy wrapper packages to the right of them. It's a guaranteed. Okay, so advertisers have known for a long time that humans are just like fish. We love shiny, pretty things. There's a reason you need to put a gem on a woman's finger to ask her to marry you, and that's because we love shiny, pretty things, and men just as much so as women. If you don't believe me, just ask yourself, why do men need to buy that latest, greatest game console when it comes out? Because the pictures are better, right? The game's the same old games as they used to be, but the graphics, the pictures are better, right? That's why everyone ran out and got those HD TVs, because the pictures are better. So please, please, please use one or two photos to illustrate the points that you're making, to grab people's attention, and also you can use those photos to pull their eyes down to the